Dr. Sarah Chen wiped the sweat from her forehead as she stared at the massive stone tablet before her. The excavation site on Kepler 442b had been active for 6 months now, and this was their most significant discovery yet. The tablet stood nearly 3 meters tall and was covered in intricate symbols that seemed to dance in the alien sunlight filtering through the planet's purple atmosphere. "Still no luck with the translation matrix?" asked Commander Vex, the Altarian expedition leader. His crystalline features reflected concern as he approached Sarah's workstation. Sarah shook her head, frustration evident in her voice. "The quantum linguistic processors have been running for weeks. Every algorithm we've developed, every pattern recognition system the Galactic Council has provided, nothing works. It's like this language follows rules that defy every known linguistic principle." The archaeological team represented the finest minds from across the galaxy. The Zephyrian linguists had spent decades mastering over 4,000 different languages. The synthetic beings from Proxima Station could process linguistic data at speeds that made organic minds dizzy. Even the ancient Valdorian scholars, whose civilization was already old when most species were still learning to make fire, had contributed their wisdom to this project. Yet the stone tablet remained silent, its secrets locked away behind symbols that seemed almost familiar but never quite made sense. Dr. Korth, a Valdorian whose gray skin bore the ritual markings of a master linguist, approached the group with his characteristic slow, measured steps. "I have consulted the archives of 7 different civilizations," he announced in his deep, resonant voice. "This script appears in fragments across multiple archaeological sites, always in contexts that suggest great importance. Yet no species has ever successfully decoded even a single symbol." Sarah felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She was the only human on the expedition, selected not for her species' reputation. Humans were still considered relatively new to the galactic community, but for her innovative approaches to xenolinguistics. While other species relied on established patterns and traditional methods, humans had a peculiar talent for thinking outside conventional frameworks. "What makes this particular tablet so special?" asked Dr. Zelani, a Neptunian whose tentacles moved rhythmically as she spoke. "We've found similar inscriptions before." Commander Vex gestured toward the tablet's base, where additional symbols were carved in a different style. "The contextual markers suggest this isn't just any inscription. Based on the surrounding artifacts, we believe this tablet contains the fundamental principles of an ancient technology that could revolutionize space travel. The energy readings we've detected suggest these symbols aren't just decorative. They're functional." Sarah studied the tablet more closely. The symbols were arranged in complex patterns, with some appearing multiple times in different configurations. She had noticed this repetition before, but something about it nagged at her. The way certain symbol clusters appeared reminded her of something, though she couldn't quite place what. "The ancients who created this were clearly more advanced than any current galactic civilization," Dr. Korth continued. "Their technology allowed them to travel between galaxies instantly, according to the legends. If we could understand this script, we might unlock secrets that have been lost for millions of years." The pressure was immense. Representatives from dozens of species had visited the site, each hoping their particular expertise might crack the code. The Crystalline Collective had sent their most advanced computational matrices. The hive minds of Andromeda had applied their parallel processing capabilities. Even the mysterious energy beings from the galactic core had attempted to interface directly with the stone, only to retreat in puzzlement. Sarah walked around the tablet, observing it from different angles. The alien sun was setting, casting long shadows across the carved surface. As the light shifted, she noticed something she had missed before. Some of the symbols seemed to be arranged in vertical columns, while others followed horizontal patterns. The inconsistency had troubled the other linguists, who assumed it indicated multiple writing systems or corrupted text. but to Sarah, it looked like something else entirely. "Has anyone considered that this might not be a traditional written language?" she asked suddenly. Dr. Korth's ancient eyes fixed on her. "What do you mean, Dr. Chen?" "I mean, what if we're approaching this all wrong? What if this isn't meant to be read like a book or scroll? What if it's something else entirely?" The Zephyrian linguist, Dr. Tessara, fluttered her wing-like appendages in disagreement. "We have tested every possible reading direction, Dr. Chen. Horizontal, vertical, spiral patterns, even three-dimensional interpretations. The symbols remain meaningless." Sarah nodded, but her mind was racing. There was something about the arrangement that felt familiar, something that reminded her of her childhood on Earth. She couldn't shake the feeling that she had seen similar patterns before, not in alien texts, but in something much closer to home. As the expedition team prepared to return to their base camp for the evening, Sarah remained behind with a small lighting unit. She wanted to study the tablet in different illumination, hoping that shadows might reveal details that daylight had hidden. Under the artificial light, the symbols took on a different quality. The carved lines seemed deeper, more defined. Sarah ran her fingers along the grooves, feeling the precise craftsmanship that had created them. Whoever had made this tablet had been incredibly skilled, carving each symbol with mathematical precision. It was then that she noticed something that made her heart skip a beat. One of the symbol clusters, when viewed from a specific angle under the directional light, looked remarkably like the letter V. Not exactly like it, but similar enough to make her pause. She moved the light to illuminate a different section. Another symbol with slight variations that could account for age and alien interpretation resembled an I. Her hands trembling with excitement, she continued her examination. The more she looked, the more convinced she became that these weren't alien symbols at all. They were distorted, stylized, and modified. But underneath the elaborate decoration and the effects of time, she was seeing something that no other species would recognize because they had never encountered it before. Sarah spent the entire night at the tablet, mapping symbols and comparing them to patterns in her memory. By dawn, when the first of the alien suns began to rise, she was exhausted but exhilarated. She had found matches for nearly 30 symbols. When Commander Vex arrived with the morning shift, he found Sarah sitting on the ground before the tablet, surrounded by handwritten notes and sketches. "Dr. Chen, have you been here all night?" he asked with concern. Sarah looked up at him with tired but bright eyes. "Commander, I think I know what this is, but you're not going to believe it." Dr. Korth appeared shortly after, along with several other team members. Word had already spread through the camp that the human linguist had discovered something significant. "Please share your findings, Dr. Chen," Dr. Korth said formally. Sarah stood, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "This isn't an alien language at all. It's Latin. Very old Latin, heavily modified and stylized, but definitely Latin." The silence that followed was deafening. Dr. Tessara was the first to speak. "That's impossible. Latin is a human language from your homeworld. This tablet predates your species by millions of years." Sarah nodded. "I know how it sounds. But look here." She pointed to a section of the tablet. "This cluster here, it's Imperium, written in a decorative script. And this one is Stellarum, of the stars." The entire first line translates to, "The empire of the stars extends beyond the known void." Dr. Korth approached the tablet, his ancient mind struggling to process this information. "Even if you are correct about the linguistic similarities, how do you explain the temporal impossibility? This tablet was already ancient when my people first achieved spaceflight." "I don't know," Sarah admitted. "But I'm certain about the translation. Give me more time, and I can decode the entire tablet." Commander Vex made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. "Dr. Chen, You have whatever resources you need. If there's even a chance you're right about this, we need to understand what it means." As Sarah turned back to the tablet with renewed energy, none of them could imagine the implications of what she was about to uncover. The greatest archaeological mystery in galactic history was about to be solved by recognizing something that had been hiding in plain sight for millions of years. The ancient tongue was about to reveal its secrets, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 weeks had passed since Sarah's breakthrough, and the excavation site had transformed into a bustling center of galactic attention. Representatives from the Galactic Council had arrived, along with historians, archaeologists, and linguists from every major civilization. The small research camp had expanded into a temporary city of prefabricated buildings and research facilities. Sarah stood before a holographic display showing her translation of the complete tablet. The assembled crowd of alien dignitaries listened in stunned silence as she read her findings. "The full translation reads as follows," Sarah began, her voice carrying clearly through the translation devices. "Here lies the record of the 13th Legion, servants of the eternal empire of Terra. We who conquered the void between stars and brought order to the chaos of space. Let it be known that Roman discipline and virtue shall endure until the heat death of the universe itself." Dr. Korth stepped forward, his expression grave. "Dr. Chen, are you absolutely certain of this translation? The implications are extraordinary." "I've checked it dozens of times," Sarah replied. "I've had colleagues on Earth verify my work through quantum communication. There's no doubt. This is Latin, specifically the formal Latin used in military inscriptions during the height of the Roman Empire. Ambassador Quintax of the Centauri Federation, whose species had been exploring space for over 50,000 years, raised one of his 4 arms in question. Forgive my skepticism, but this suggests that humans achieved interstellar travel millions of years before your recorded history indicates. Our archaeological surveys show no evidence of ancient human civilization beyond your home world." Sarah nodded. "I understand your confusion, Ambassador, but the evidence is right here in front of us. Unless someone is playing an incredibly elaborate joke that spans geological time periods, this tablet was carved by humans, ancient Romans to be specific." The crowd erupted in multiple languages as various species debated among themselves. The translation devices struggled to keep up with the overlapping conversations. Dr. Zelani's tentacles writhed in agitation as she processed the information. "This changes everything we know about galactic history," she announced. "If humans had an interstellar empire millions of years ago, where did they go? What happened to them?" Commander Vex called for order. "Dr. Chen, have you found any additional evidence to support this theory?" Sarah activated another holographic display, this one showing a map of the excavation site. "We've found 17 more tablets since the first discovery. Each one contains similar Latin inscriptions. They appear to be records of military campaigns, territorial claims, and administrative documents. But there's more." She gestured, and the display changed to show architectural diagrams. "We've also uncovered the foundations of what appears to be a Roman fort. The layout is identical to archaeological sites found throughout the former Roman Empire on Earth. The construction techniques, the proportions, even the placement of buildings follows Roman military standards." The Valdorian scholar, Dr. Korth, approached one of the diagrams with obvious fascination. "The precision of this construction is remarkable. These foundations show knowledge of engineering principles that some civilizations haven't mastered even today." Sarah continued her presentation. But the most significant discovery came yesterday. The display changed again, showing a detailed scan of a metallic object. "We found this buried beneath the central building of the fort." The assembled delegates leaned forward to get a better view. The object was clearly artificial. Made of an unknown metallic alloy that showed no signs of corrosion, despite its apparent age. It was roughly cylindrical, covered in intricate engravings that matched the style of the stone tablets. "What is it?" asked Dr. Tessara, her wing appendages quivering with curiosity. "Based on the Latin inscriptions, it's called an Aquila stellaris, a star eagle," Sarah explained. "It appears to be the standard of the 13th Legion. In Roman culture, the Legion's eagle was its most sacred possession. Losing it in battle was considered the ultimate disgrace." Ambassador Quintax studied the scans carefully. "The metal composition is unlike anything in our databases. Our analysis shows elements that shouldn't exist in stable form under normal conditions." Dr. Korth nodded thoughtfully. "This suggests a level of metallurgy far beyond what we previously attributed to ancient Earth civilizations. But it raises an even more troubling question. If this Roman legion was here millions of years ago, what happened to them?" Sarah had been dreading this question, but she had found what she believed to be the answer. "I think I know. The final tablet we discovered contains what appears to be a distress message. The translation reads, 'The stars grow cold, and the void calls us home. The portal stones fail, and the way back to Terra grows dim. We who conquered the heavens are trapped in the darkness between worlds. May the gods preserve Rome until we return.'" The implication sent a chill through the assembled crowd. Dr. Zalani's tentacles had gone completely still, a sign of deep shock in her species. "You're suggesting that this legion became stranded here?" she asked quietly. "That's exactly what I'm suggesting," Sarah confirmed. "Based on the evidence, it appears that ancient Rome had developed some form of portal technology that allowed instantaneous travel across vast distances. But something went wrong. The 13th Legion found themselves cut off from home, unable to return to Earth." Commander Vex was studying the architectural displays with growing amazement. "The implications for our understanding of human history are staggering. But what happened to the legionaries themselves? We've found no human remains." Sarah activated a final display, showing geological surveys of the area. "We have found traces of human DNA in the soil samples, but they're extremely degraded. Based on the distribution patterns, it appears that the legionaries established a settlement that persisted for several generations. But eventually—" She paused, the weight of her discovery evident in her voice. "Eventually they died out. Cut off from their home, unable to reproduce with any local species, the 13th Legion simply faded away on this alien world." The silence that followed was profound. Representatives of species that had wandered the galaxy for millennia struggled to process the idea that humans had been exploring space while their own civilizations were still in their infancy. Dr. Korth broke the silence. "This discovery requires immediate investigation by the full Galactic Archaeological Council. The historical implications alone—" "There's something else," Sarah interrupted. "Something I haven't told you yet." All eyes turned to her as she activated a new holographic display. This one showed a star map, with various points highlighted in different colors. "While translating the administrative documents, I found references to other installations. The 13th Legion wasn't alone out here. According to these records, there were at least 12 other Roman outposts scattered across this sector of the galaxy." Ambassador Quintax's 4 eyes widened in shock. 12 other outposts? Dr. Chen, do you realize what you're suggesting? I'm suggesting that millions of years ago, humans had an interstellar empire that spanned hundreds of light years. They had technology that allowed them to travel instantly between stars, weapons that could crack planets, and organizational skills that let them administer a galactic civilization. Dr. Tessara spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. And then they vanished completely, leaving only ruins and mysteries behind. Sarah nodded grimly. According to the final documents we've found, something catastrophic happened to the portal network. The inscriptions mention the Great Silence, when communication with other outposts stopped. One by one, the Roman installations lost contact with each other and with Earth. Commander Vex was studying the star map intently. Dr. Chen, have any of these other outpost locations been explored? Not yet, Sarah replied, but several of them are in systems that have been surveyed by various galactic civilizations. If my translations are correct, we might find similar ruins on at least 6 different worlds within 50 light-years of here. The assembled delegates began talking excitedly among themselves. The prospect of finding more evidence of this lost human empire was both thrilling and terrifying. If ancient humans had possessed technology that surpassed current galactic capabilities, what had caused their empire to fall? Dr. Korth approached Sarah privately. Young human, you have uncovered something that will reshape our understanding of galactic history. But I must ask, are you prepared for the consequences of this discovery? Sarah looked at the ancient Valdorian scholar, understanding the weight of his question. What do you mean? If your species once ruled the stars and then lost everything, there will be those who wonder if humans might seek to reclaim their ancient empire. There will be fear, suspicion, perhaps even hostility from species who have grown comfortable with humanity's perceived technological inferiority. Sarah hadn't considered this angle, but she realized Dr. Korth was right. The revelation that humans had once possessed godlike technology would fundamentally change how other species viewed them. Some might see modern humanity as a dormant threat, waiting to reclaim their ancient dominance. What do you think I should do? She asked. Dr. Korth's expression was thoughtful. Truth cannot be hidden forever, Dr. Chen, but how it is revealed can determine whether it brings wisdom or chaos. Choose your next words carefully. The galaxy is listening. As Sarah looked out over the bustling excavation site, she realized that her archaeological career had just become something much larger and more dangerous. She held in her hands evidence that would rewrite history books across the galaxy. The question now was whether that revelation would bring civilizations together in wonder or drive them apart in fear. The ancient tongue had given up its secrets, but those secrets were about to create new mysteries that would challenge everything the galaxy thought it knew about humanity. The Galactic Council chambers had never seen a gathering quite like this one. Representatives from over 200 species filled the massive amphitheater. Their attention focused on the central platform where Sarah stood beside a holographic reconstruction of the Roman fort on Kepler 442b. 6 months had passed since her initial discovery, and the implications had only grown more staggering. Chancellor Verathix of the Council opened the session with the ceremonial gong that had called galactic assemblies to order for 3,000 years. We gather today to hear the final report on what historians are already calling the most significant archaeological discovery in galactic history. Dr. Chen, please present your findings. Sarah took a deep breath, aware that her words would be transmitted across the galaxy and studied by billions of beings. Honored delegates, after extensive investigation of 12 separate sites mentioned in the Roman records, we can now confirm that humans possessed an interstellar empire approximately 2.7 million years ago. This empire spanned at least 400 star systems and demonstrated technological capabilities that exceed our current understanding. A murmur ran through the assembly. Even after months of reports and evidence, the reality still seemed impossible to many delegates. The evidence shows that this ancient Roman empire developed what they called portae stellaris, stargates that allowed instantaneous travel across vast distances. These devices used a form of quantum tunnel technology that our best scientists are still struggling to understand. The Romans didn't just travel between stars, they moved entire legions and civilian populations as easily as we might cross a room. Dr. Korth, now serving as the Council's chief archaeological advisor for this investigation, stepped forward. Dr. Chen, please share what we discovered about the scale of this ancient empire. Sarah activated a new holographic display showing a three-dimensional map of local space. Hundreds of star systems were highlighted in gold, creating a vast network that stretched across multiple galactic arms. At its peak, the Roman Galactic Empire controlled over 600 star systems. They established mining operations on gas giants, built cities inside asteroids, and terraformed dozens of worlds to suit human needs. The administrative records we've recovered suggest a population in the trillions. Ambassador Quintax leaned forward in his seat. Dr. Chen, this presents a logical impossibility. If humans possessed such capabilities 2.7 million years ago, why is there no evidence of this empire in your planet's archaeological record? Sarah had been expecting this question. It was the same one that had kept her awake for months. That's where the story becomes truly tragic, Ambassador. Based on the final records we discovered at the site we're calling Roma Ultima, the empire didn't fall to conquest or natural disaster. It fell to something much worse: forgetfulness. She gestured, and the display changed to show a timeline of the empire's decline. The Romans became so dependent on their portal technology that they stopped maintaining traditional space travel capabilities. When the portal network began to fail due to what appears to have been a cascading quantum resonance failure, they found themselves stranded across hundreds of star systems with no way to return home or communicate with each other. The assembly fell silent as the full horror of the situation became clear. The outpost records show that it took approximately 50 years for the portal network to completely collapse. During that time, the scattered Roman settlements sent increasingly desperate messages back to Earth, begging for rescue that would never come. The final message from Roma Ultima reads, "The eagles are furled and the legions sleep. Tell our children that we tried to touch the stars and learned too late that home is what gives them meaning." Dr. Tessara's wings fluttered with distress. But what happened on Earth itself? Surely some record would have survived of such an advanced civilization? Sarah's expression grew somber. That's perhaps the most tragic part of all. According to the records, the portal network failure didn't just strand the colonies. It caused massive geological disruptions on Earth itself. The quantum resonance collapse triggered volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and climate changes that devastated the planet. The Roman Empire on Earth fell not to barbarian invasions, but to the failure of their own technology. She activated another display, showing geological evidence from Earth's historical record. What we know as the Pleistocene Ice Age appears to have been triggered by the portal network's collapse. The survivors on Earth were forced to rebuild from almost nothing, with no memory of their former glory. Over generations, the truth became legend, legend became myth, and myth was forgotten entirely. Chancellor Verithix spoke for the first time since opening the session. Dr. Chen, are you saying that humanity fell from godlike technology to Stone Age primitives in a single catastrophic event? That's exactly what I'm saying, Chancellor. The humans who eventually rebuilt civilization on Earth had no memory of their ancestors' achievements. The classical Roman Empire we find in human historical records was essentially a pale echo of what had come before, humans unconsciously trying to recreate something they had lost, but could no longer remember. The implications sent ripples of discussion through the assembly. Species that had viewed humanity as young and inexperienced were now forced to confront the possibility that humans had been exploring space when their own civilizations were still learning to make fire. Ambassador Quintax stood, his four arms spread in a gesture of formal address. Dr. Chen, this discovery raises uncomfortable questions. If humans once possessed technology that surpassed our current capabilities, might they develop such technology again? Should the galaxy be concerned about humanity's potential? Sarah had been dreading this moment, but Dr. Korth's advice had prepared her for it. Ambassador, I understand your concerns, but I think you're asking the wrong question. The real question isn't whether humans might reclaim their ancient power. It's whether we can learn from their mistakes. She gestured to the holographic display, which now showed the collapsed timeline. The ancient Romans became so focused on expansion and control that they forgot the fundamental principles that made their civilization strong. They relied too heavily on a single technology, became overconfident in their abilities, and lost touch with the values that had built their empire in the first place. Dr. Zalani's tentacles moved thoughtfully as she spoke. What values do you refer to, Dr. Chen? According to the personal records we've found, the early Roman Empire was built on principles of civic duty, personal sacrifice for the common good, and respect for the rule of law. But as the empire expanded across the galaxy, those values were gradually replaced by arrogance, excess, and the belief that technology could solve any problem. Sarah paused, looking out over the assembled delegates. The final personal log we discovered was written by Marcus Aurelius Stellaris, the last commander of Roma Ultima. It reads, "We who sought to rule the stars forgot that true strength comes not from the power to destroy worlds, but from the wisdom to build them. We mastered space but lost our souls. Let those who come after us remember that the greatest empire is not measured in light years conquered, but in lives improved." The chamber was completely silent now. The weight of those ancient words seemed to settle over everyone present. Chancellor Verathix stood slowly. Dr. Chen, what do you believe the galaxy should do with this knowledge? Sarah had spent months preparing for this moment. I believe we should do what Marcus Aurelius Stellaris hoped we would do. Learn from their mistakes. The ancient Romans showed us both the potential and the dangers of unchecked expansion and technological dependence. Modern humanity should serve as a reminder to all of us that even the mightiest civilizations can fall if they lose sight of what makes them worth preserving. Dr. Korth stepped forward, his ancient voice carrying the weight of millennia. Dr. Chen speaks wisely. This discovery should humble us all. Every species represented in this chamber has the potential for both greatness and catastrophic failure. The question is not whether humanity will rise again to challenge us, but whether we will have the wisdom to guide each other away from the same precipice that claimed the Roman Empire. Ambassador Quintax slowly lowered his arms. Perhaps you are right, honored scholar. Fear of what was may blind us to what could be. Sarah activated one final holographic display, this one showing not the past, but a projection of the present galaxy. Hundreds of different civilizations were represented, each contributing their own strengths and wisdom to the greater whole. The ancient Romans tried to rule the galaxy through force and technology, she said. But what we've built here, this council, this cooperation between species, this sharing of knowledge and resources, this is something they never achieved. We've created something greater than any single empire, a true galactic community. She looked directly at Ambassador Quintax. Humanity doesn't want to reclaim the ancient empire, Ambassador. We want to help build something better, something that won't fall to the same mistakes that destroyed our ancestors. Chancellor Verathix called for the ceremonial closing gong. The Council recognizes the extraordinary contribution of Dr. Chen and her team. This knowledge will be preserved and shared freely among all member civilizations. Let the fall of the ancient Roman Empire serve as both a warning and an inspiration to all who seek to touch the stars. As the assembly dispersed, Sarah remained on the platform, looking up at the holographic representation of the galaxy. Somewhere out there, among the countless stars, the ruins of humanity's first empire continued their silent vigil, monuments to ambition and folly in equal measure. Dr. Korth approached her as the chamber emptied. You have given the galaxy a great gift, young human. Not just knowledge of the past, but wisdom for the future. Sarah smiled tiredly. I just hope we're smart enough to learn from it." The ancient Valdorian scholar placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "The fact that you worry about it suggests that you are. The ancient Romans forgot to question their own power. As long as we remember to doubt ourselves, to seek wisdom over dominance, we may avoid their fate." As Sarah finally left the council chambers, she carried with her the weight of history and the hope of the future. The ancient tongue had revealed its secrets not to glorify the past, but to illuminate the path forward. In learning the truth about humanity's forgotten empire, the galaxy had gained something far more valuable than historical knowledge. It had gained the wisdom to build something better. The stars that had once witnessed the rise and fall of the Roman Galactic Empire now watched over a new kind of civilization, one built not on conquest but on cooperation, not on dominance but on diversity. And perhaps, Sarah thought, as she looked up at those eternal lights, that was exactly what Marcus Aurelius Stellaris had hoped for when he wrote his final, desperate message across the void of time.